Hey guys, thank you for joining me for another episode on Synovia Cherie's TV, Let's Chat. And today we're going to talk about something that's so subtle, so manipulative, so covert that you may not know what's even happening until you are deep into it. So if you want to hear about what we're talking about tonight, go grab you some tea, some ice water, some popcorn, some chips, some fruit, some nuts, a snack, girl, and let's sit down and let's chat tonight. The title of this episode tonight is going to be How to Spot Covert Grooming Disguised as Romance. This is a type of manipulation that's so subtle, that's so covert, you may not even know it's happening until you're in it too deep. And this is where the term, if you heard the term hobosexual before, we're going to be talking about that, but I'm going to be using the word hobo because I don't know if you can say sexual on YouTube, okay? So I'm going to be using the word hobo, but we're going to talk about these individuals' subtle signs that they give off early on. We're going to talk about what a hobosexual is, okay? We're going to talk about what the goal is and how you can protect yourself from an individual that's a hobo, okay? A narcissistic hobo. And if you are new here, welcome. My name is Synovia Cherie, and on this page, we talk about narcissistic abuse, emotional healing, and most of all, personal empowerment so you can live a life that God has called you to live. So before we get into talking about the hobo, the narcissistic hobo, I've got some notes written down about grooming. And I want to let you know what grooming is, because knowing what grooming is will help you identify when someone is trying to groom you for a specific reason, okay? So grooming is when someone builds trust with you slowly over time with the hidden goal of gaining access, control, and dependency. Okay? They want access, control, and dependency. It's not always about intimacy, sexual. It's not always about that. It can be about emotional, financial, psychological, and it's often done through kind gestures that come with hidden expectations. Kind gestures that come with hidden expectations. So this is how you know, just because someone is doing something kind for you, or they did something nice or something that you appreciate, don't think that they may not have a hidden agenda. Don't think that they did it from the goodness of their heart, especially if they are a narcissistic hobo. This conversation came about because I was talking with one of my coworkers, and I was watching a video about a girl saying that she met someone, and she met a guy. She took the guy home from the club with her, and the guy, when it was time for her to get up and go to work, the guy wouldn't leave out her house. She ended up calling the police on a guy, but before she called the police, y'all, this girl called her brother over there. She called her brother over to get the guy out her house. The brother got beat up by the guy. In the story, this is on TikTok, the brother got beat up by the guy, and then she ended up calling the police eventually. But the gist of the story is she met a guy at a club. She asked the guy to leave, and he would not leave. He said, "I'm not going anywhere." That's a perfect example of a hobosexual. That's a perfect example of someone who goes out and look for relationships just so they can either have a place to stay, food in their belly, a TV to watch. They're not pursuing relationships because they want to be intimate with the person or want companionship. They're pursuing relationships for what they can get out of an individual. That is a definition of a hobosexual. So this episode came about because I was at work and I was talking to my coworker, and I was watching a video on TikTok. And on a video on TikTok, the girl was explaining she went to the club one night. She took a guy back home with her, and when she asked the guy to get up and leave because it was time for her to go to work, the guy wouldn't get up and leave. He said, "I'm not going anywhere." And so I'm talking to my coworkers. I'm like, that's crazy. My coworker was like, "Wait a minute, Synovia, that happened to my cousin." And I'm like, "What happened to your cousin?" She said that her cousin also met a guy at a club, took him home with her, and the guy never left from that day. The story with her cousin is different because they ended up getting married. The story from TikTok was not good because the girl ended up having to call her brother. He fought with the guy, got beat up. Then she had to call the police to get the guy out of there or something like that. But my coworker said that her cousin ended up marrying the guy, and he still didn't change his ways. So let's talk about that tonight. Let's talk about when someone is dating for stability and not romance. So today we're going to talk about the term narcissistic hobo. Okay, it's really the word hobosexual, but I don't know if I can keep saying that on YouTube, so we're just going to say hobo. Okay, narcissistic hobo. Is you cannot tell me that someone that's only out here dating for security, for housing, for a warm bed, for a warm plate of food is not narcissistic. You cannot tell me that, because they definitely are. So let's get into the definition of what a hobo is. Okay, so it's a person who dates someone primarily for housing or for resources or for what you can do for them or what they can get out of you. They're not dating for companionship. They're not dating because they like you. They're dating to see what they can get out of you. But the reason why we're talking tonight is because these people can be dangerous. If you're dealing with someone that's not stable, they don't have a stable residence. They're going from bed to bed or house to house, from woman to woman or man to man. That person is unstable. And when it's time for you to say, hey, get out my life, or, I don't want you in my life no more, this isn't working, that person can become very dangerous. Just like the story that I said that I heard from TikTok. The guy ended up beating up the girl brother and they had to call the police. These people can be dangerous. So what are some signs that you can look out for when you're dealing with someone, or you think you may be dealing with someone who's in it to see what they can get from you or to gain access to what's yours? They may want access to your home. They may want access to your resources, your finances, your vehicle. I've heard stories of women talk about that they start dating somebody and they actually give this guy their car keys every day for them to drive around the city while the woman is at work, okay? And the guy is doing whatever it is he want to do all day long because he's not working. He doesn't have anything, and then he's even late picking her up, okay? That's me, y'all. I experienced that before, so don't judge me. But I experienced that before in my 20s. That happened to me. I didn't know what a hobosexual was. I didn't know what the terms or anything was. I'm like, oh my God, he loves me. He loves me so much. He want to move into my house. He loves me so much. He want to pick me up from work in my vehicle now, y'all. He loves me so much. He want to pick me up from work, and he was late. No, this guy was a hobosexual, okay? A straight hobo. It wasn't that he loved me so much, let's move in together. No, he didn't have anywhere else to go. So when he came across me and I had a home, I had a warm bed, I was having warm food, he's like, yeah, I'm going to attach myself to her because she has resources. I don't even think it was about me. It could have been any woman that he ran across who had a warm bed, a warm house, and some hot food. He was going to attach himself to that individual. Subtle signs that you will probably see early on when you're dealing with somebody who's a hobosexual, somebody who only wants to date you for your resources. This individual early on is going to try to blur the lines between what's yours and what's theirs. They're going to try to get you to agree that instead of you saying my house, my car, my vehicle, they're going to be like, what about our? Why can't it be our house, our vehicle, our phone? Why can't it be our things? Because what they're trying to do is get you to change your language on how you speak about your stuff. This is why this is so covert and sneaky, because this individual has not put anything towards what you have. They have not helped you build your house. They don't help you at work. They have not helped you build anything. But they're so sneaky. They want to come in like a serpent and they want access to your resources. So number one, the first thing you will see, this person will try to blur the line between what's yours and what's theirs and want you to change your language to, instead of my, they want you to change that language to our. Because if you change the language to our, your mind will begin to follow. You change the language, your mind will begin to follow. So that's number one. Be on the lookout for that. Number two, this person may be spending time with you. They may be spending time with you, but it's not the time that you want, okay? There's no intimacy in this time. They may come over and say, you know, I'm going to come over and spend time with you. They eat, sleep, use a bathroom, and they out. That's it. And you like, wait a minute, something is missing here. There's no intimacy. There's no emotional connection. Something is missing here. What's missing is emotional connection, because this person is not dating for a relationship. They're dating for resources. They're dating to use what's yours. And remember, you have to be very careful dating people that do this stuff, because they can become very dangerous. Once you see the games they're playing, they cannot want to leave, because remember, they're unstable. And then this person can be coming over to eat your food up and they're not contributing. They're not bringing anything with them. They don't bring no groceries, no water, no condiments. They don't bring anything. They just come and eat up and use what's yours and offer nothing to you. So be on the lookout for people that does stuff like that. These people who are narcissistic hobos, I want you to remember, this is about survival. It's not about love. And any person, man or woman, that's in survival mode can be dangerous. So it's not about building an emotional connection or I want companionship. These people are in survival mode. So they're not looking to build anything. You won't have a strong emotional connection because they're not looking for that. They're looking to take your resources. And number three, another sign that you can look out for when it comes to hobosexuals that want access to your resources, things that you've built and you accomplished that they have not worked for, is they're going to be throwing in subtle hints, okay? Subtle things. Like you can be having a conversation, you'll be like, yeah, when I go to the store and then I go back home, and then they'll be like, yeah, when you go to the store, you go back to our house. Like, yeah, I'm not getting my car. They'd be like, okay, go ahead, go grab our car. Go grab our car keys. But you see how smooth that is? Like, yeah, go ahead, go grab our car keys. And you like, So what they're doing is trying to plant little seeds in your mind, because these people are crafty, girl. These people are crafty. They're like a slippery serpent. They're crafty. You gotta be on your toes. You have to be on your toes when it comes to these narcissistic people out here and these manipulators. You gotta be on your toes, and you can't ignore your intuition, and you gotta have strong boundaries. Because let me tell you, if you have strong boundaries and you run into a narcissistic hobosexual, they will leave. You won't have to tell them, like, this isn't working, you have to go. They will leave. Because at the moment they see, I can't work her, I can't get anything out of her, she ain't giving me a house key, she won't let me drive her car, they'll be out of here. And the reason they'll be out of here, because they're going to go and try to find the next victim. They're going to try to find someone else who will allow them to have their way. But it's not going to be you, girl, because you're going to know the sign. Another sign to look out for. You may have someone that maybe comes over once or twice a week to spend a night. Or, I don't know, girl, maybe you have them coming over 4 or 5 times a week to spend a night. When you see them start coming through your door with a duffel bag, it's time to stop it. When you see them start coming through the door, you like, you got to spend a night bag? No, their clothes is in that bag because they're trying to move over. It ain't no duffel bag. Do not allow them to leave pieces of clothing or different things around at your home. Don't allow people to do that. If I could give you any advice, don't let anybody come spend a night at your house like that. Don't do that, because you'll be setting yourself up. And remember, these people can be dangerous. So watch out for the overnight spend the night bag when it's really all they have in the bag. Watch out for when they try to always leave a piece of something in your home. An extra shirt, an extra pair of an extra something, and you know this person living situation is unstable. You got to be mindful of that, because like I said earlier, and I have to keep reiterating, these people can be dangerous. Another way for you to protect yourself from these individuals, girl, listen. You cannot be afraid to call the police. I know sometimes as Black people, we be like, I don't want to call the police on another Black man. Or sometimes as women, we don't want to call the police on man, period, because maybe it's something in us, or we don't want to deal with it. We don't want to see them get in trouble. Listen to me. You cannot be afraid to call the authority on these people. You have to have the mindset of it's either them or me. These people that are unstable, they will hurt you. They will hurt you. And a mindset you have to have is either them or it's me. It's them or it's me. And it's not going to be you. So don't be afraid to call the police on these men. If you're a woman and you're watching this video, and if you want someone to leave your house and they won't leave your house, do not be afraid to call the police on these men. Let me tell y'all this story. In 2023, I get divorced, right? So I'm telling my ex-husband, I'm like, you have to go, because the divorce paper says that you got until, I think it was like the 20th or something, to be out the house. And he's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay here. You going to let me stay here, and I'm going to stack up my money. You going to let me stay here. I'm going to stack up my money, and I'm not going anywhere. I don't care what you say. And I'm like, okay. A week went by. And I'm like, it's almost August 20th. Like, you're not packing up that you found somewhere to go. He like, I already told you, I'm not going anywhere. You're going to let me stay here and stack up my money until as long as I want to, and then I'll leave. And I'll be like, this man got to be out of his mind. You got to be out your mind. But that was his mindset. He felt as if I owed him, that I had to let him stay here, even though we were getting a divorce. The divorce was almost final, and he still would not leave. Let me tell y'all. I said, okay. I told y'all, don't be scared to call the police. Call the police up, non-emergency. I said, I need y'all to come to my door. My husband at the time, I said, our divorce will be final in a couple of days. And he said that he's not leaving. And I need someone to let him know that he has to go. The police came around the corner, because the police station is around the corner, about 4 of them. They came in the house and they said, can we see your divorce papers? So I showed them the divorce paper. It was like a PDF of the papers, because the court, had to be like a Saturday or Sunday, and the court case for us to be divorced would be finalized maybe like on a Tuesday. And I'm like, I showed up, and he was like, okay. So they went to go talk to him, and they said, you only have a couple days to get out of here. He was like, yeah, I know. That's like, okay, or do you have somewhere to go? That's like, they said we can't do anything to him today, because today is not the day. But in a couple of days, if he don't leave, we will have to get him off the premises. They were there. He was paying no attention. He didn't even look up at him. He was playing his video game. He like, yeah, I know. And that's it. The next day, after them 4 police officers left, the next day, y'all think he wasn't packing them bags to get up out of there? Y'all think he was not leaving? He did not want to listen to me. But when I showed him that I had no fear in calling the authorities, he listened to them. The next day, he had somewhere to go, stuff packed, his cousin or someone to get him, and he was out that house. The very next day, before a whole month, he was telling me, I'm not going anywhere. I tell y'all that story to say, don't be afraid to call the police. You cannot be scared. Buddy, you're either going to jail, or buddy, you're getting off these premises, but buddy, you're getting out of here. You're getting out of here. So don't be afraid to call the police on these individuals. They're already unstable. Remember, girl, what I say, it's either them or you, and it's not gonna be you. These people are unstable, and you will not be the one leaving in a body bag. It will not be you. So don't be afraid to call the police on these individuals because they're unstable. Another way for you to protect yourself, your intuition. I always say a woman with the Holy Spirit and her intuition is a bad woman. Because at sometimes something's happened in my life, I didn't know what I was seeing or what I was feeling, but it was just something, I'm like, something not right. Something ain't right about this situation. And now I could not pinpoint it, but I knew something wasn't right. So trust your gut. If something feels off, usually it's because something is off. If something feel like this is strange, something not right, I don't understand it, it's because usually something is off. And when we look back, we be like, dang, why didn't I listen? Dang, why didn't I pay attention? Dang, why didn't I move differently? Because something is off. So pay attention, okay? And early on, set boundaries. If a person is trying to move into your life and trying to move you too fast and they want to take ownership of what's yours, they get no house keys, no car keys, nothing without commitment. And I would even go as far to say, don't date someone who does not have a stable place to live or a vehicle or have a job. Don't date anyone like that because these people can be dangerous. Don't be afraid to sit back and ask yourself questions. Question yourself. Ask yourself, is this person adding to my peace or are they just trying to gain access to my resources? You know, you will feel it. You'll know by the conversations they're having. You'll feel it in your gut. You'll feel it you'll feel it in your intuition. You'll feel that there's no emotional connection there. You'll feel it. But in order for you to know that someone is emotionally unavailable, you have to be emotionally available. You have to recognize the signs. And if you're emotionally unavailable, they're emotionally unavailable, you're not going to be able to feel anything. Pay attention to how they want you to stop thinking independently. If they want you to be like, okay, I'm going to go to my house. And they be like, okay, go ahead to our house. All right, let me go grab my car keys. Yeah, go ahead, go grab our car keys. Watch that. It's very subtle, but I'm telling you, they say it. Watch things like hobosexuals, people that's dating them only for resources. And one of the reasons why this is because there's women out here that as soon as a man come into their life, they're giving them all their resources. The man don't have to do anything. They don't have to work. They don't have to do anything around the house. I know women who meet men and a man doesn't have to do anything. They willingly give this man access to their everything. They give them access to their home. These men even have access to their children. They give them access to their vehicle. And these men just lay around and do nothing. I know women who do this. So let that not be you. And if you ever experience this, I want you to drop a comment in the comment section, okay? And I want you to like the video. I want you to subscribe because I'm trying to get to 500 followers. 500 people. I want a community on YouTube. So I'm trying to build a community. So I want to start off by setting a goal of 500 followers. So if you like the video, I want you to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video with someone who you may think will benefit off this information. So thank you so much for joining me on our chat on Synovia Sharice TV, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.